Why are so many people overwhelmed with clutter? Disorganization is causing shame, suffering, friendships, time, money. People just like you wondering where and how to create an organized lifestyle. This podcast offers expert tips and solutions for your clutter obstacles. My name is Rachel Seavey, and this is the Hoardganize Podcast. Hey, collectors. Welcome to the Hoardganize Podcast. I am your host, professional organizer, Rachel Seavey. And it has been a few months since I put on a podcast. I've had some personal things going on in my life, and I had to take away, time and energy from the podcast and focus it on my family. Without getting into too much detail, my child was very sick. And if you've taken care of anyone who you love that's sick, sometimes being in a state of worry or hypervigilance is just completely exhausting. So between being a caretaker, single mom, business owner, dog mom, bearded dragon mom, keeping my own house and yard tidy, the podcast, unfortunately, was something that I had to put to the side. And to be honest, I was so stressed out. I really think I had some sort of writer's block. I couldn't think of anything to talk about. I didn't even have the motivation to talk about things, no matter how many suggestions I got from my loyal listeners. I just wasn't able to follow through. I even had open mail here, y'all. I mean, it was only like 5 letters, but to me it just really represented the state that I was in at that time. I mean, unopened mail is really not my thing. I like to open, process, pay my bills on time. I don't like just letting letters stock up. Luckily, most of my important ones are on auto pay, but I've just never been so stressed out in my life that I couldn't even open my incoming mail. So I know how you feel. On a much smaller scale, but I definitely see how being depressed or stressed or overwhelmed can throw you way off kilter. And things that you thought were important before are all of a sudden no longer important at all. I mean, what a difference. And I'll also tell you another thing. You know, you really find out who your true friends and family are when you have a crisis going on. I found that most of my acquaintances expected me to be, positive all the time. And they're almost like shocked or disappointed that I wasn't like getting my stuff together. And yes, 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 I'm a life coach. And yes, I'm a professional organizer. Yes, I am a human being. And my child being sick caused me a lot of stress and anxiety. And it seemed to scare some of the people that I thought loved us away. The type of people that only like to hang out when times are good and happy, but when, stuff hits the fan, they're just nowhere to be found. So it's been a rough couple of months. I will leave it at that. I've decided to only do audio for the rest of the year. Video at the moment for me is just too complicated. YouTube, believe it or not, is a lot of work promoting the videos and having someone do a thumbnail and editing the videos. It just takes up a lot of extra time that I just don't have right now. But I do still have time to deliver a kick-ass audio only podcast as often as possible. Because, let's face it, I love to talk and you all like listening. So if you want to see me in person, hey, book a coaching call. If you're in the Bay Area of sunny California, you can always have me come over. So let me just tell you, my child has been on me about putting on a podcast. I've been thinking about you guys so much, and I did feel really guilty. So I really do want to continue the podcast, and things are starting to come together on my home front. I've seriously had to rearrange my whole life, work, eating schedule, everything. So here I am. I have been able to keep up with some of the things that I do with you guys. I am often on our private Facebook page. I'm always on the Tuesday decluttering group, which is really awesome. Such a great group of people. And that's where we have, we're all a body double for you. We all get stuff done. And we're actually going to be having a movie night this summer featuring a movie that has to do with clutter. If you're interested in joining in on the Tuesday Funness, there is a link in the description where you can declutter with people just like you and yours truly. I promise we really do get a lot done, but we have a lot of fun as well. If you haven't joined the private Facebook group, you can find it through the public Hoardganize Podcast page. Not a fan of Facebook? How about booking a phone or video coaching call with me? Links are in the description. Now, here's the content. July is going to be the great digital hoard declutter. I know that's a mouthful, but we are decluttering anything digital. So this could be decluttering stuff on your phone or stuff on your computer, digital items. You could declutter your voicemail. You could declutter icons, applications, photos, apps, clear your browser histories, reorganize the apps and icons on your phone and computer. I am encouraging you to declutter software, both installed and physical discs, CDs, physical floppies, all of that great stuff. We are going to be decluttering cables and cords. This is really no small feat. July is going to be intense, and I wanted to keep it indoors for those of us that are in hot areas for the summer. I know you love your electronics. I know you love your cables and cords. They're tangled up everywhere. None of them have labels on them that say where they go to. What about old VHS players, VHS tapes, DVDs, CDs, Walkmans? They are all under scrutiny for the month of July. And as usual, we'll be having the challenge on the private Facebook group where you can share photos of the digital items that you are decluttering if you're brave enough. This is something that you can do no matter what kind of physical state you're in. If you're disabled, or if you're injured, or if you're hot and tired, or if you have so much stuff in your house that you're just secluded to a corner, this is a great thing to do because you could just open up your phone and start going through stuff. Emails. Okay. Emails are a really big one. Do you have thousands and thousands of emails that you have not even opened? Great. July's a great time to tackle those because you can't find anything that's important if your email box is all cluttered up. This could be as easy as unsubscribing to multiple apps or subscriptions or newsletters or advertisements. Like I said, this is really no small feat. I know it sounds like an undertaking when I'm saying to unsubscribe to all of the thousands of emails that you receive. But honestly, if you really want to get some stuff done and it's easy for you to do as far as sitting down, it's something you could do in the car, it's something you could do in bed. Okay. But like I said, it's not easy. So just when you can and you have time, I want you to open up your phone and open up your computer and your devices and start decluttering. Again, your browser history is a great one. That stores up a lot of memory, and you don't need to save everything that you've looked at. You could reorganize the apps on your phone so your phone doesn't look as cluttered, and go through and see, do you use any of these apps? A lot of us have good intentions and we download mindfulness apps and nutrition apps and health apps and this app and this app, and we don't use them. I mean, I've been guilty of downloading apps and not using them, but having good intentions. So July is going to be a perfect time to go through all of the clutter on your phones and on your devices. Cables, cords, wires, if they're antiquated, I would say take them to your local e-waste. This could be a Best Buy. Sometimes Goodwill takes e-waste. Just do a search on Google. Where can I take e-waste? Sometimes Goodwill will accept some, if it's relatively current, coaxial or maybe Cat5 cable, I would try and donate it. But there's lots of things that you can do with cables and cords, but get them out of your house because they're not helpful. Cables and cords that you do know what they go to, you could spend some time labeling those so they don't get just lost in the pile one day. I know you love your cables and cords, but honestly, a lot of devices come with them these days, and a lot of them are proprietary. So you have to buy new ones, especially for phones. I come across so many old cell phones and old cell phone cables. July could be a great month for you to get your digital files off of old cell phones and get rid of those cell phones. There are services that can do this for you. If you don't like that or you don't trust that, you can try and plug it in yourself and upload it to the cloud when you have an internet connection. Or you can talk to one of your friends that might know more about stuff like that than I do. But you can definitely go through old VHS tapes. There's definitely a time when we were recording things that we watched on television, and those times are just no longer. You can easily find movies online, go through your VHS tapes, get them converted to digital, go through your DVDs and CDs, get them converted to digital, because all electronics all electronics are under scrutiny for the month of July. I can't repeat it enough. This is not an easy thing, because when you really think about electronics, you've got printers and you've got printer ink and used printer cartridges. And I'm just looking around my office right now. There's shredders, there's so many devices and electronics that you could be going through and seeing if you really need them, if they don't really work. You could take them to a place like Best Buy. If they do work, you could give them away on a free site where you can try and donate them. It is time to start getting rid of digital clutter, software, hardware, all of it. It is starting to pile up, and this is something that you'll feel really good about when you have only the cables and cords that you need and you know what they are and they're labeled. That is the goal. Some of us might not be there yet, and some of us might be. I don't know where you are with your digital and cable and cord clutter, but I know from my experience, people with all ranges of clutter really like to collect electronics and these kinds of things. Even people with minimal amounts of clutter have too many cords and cables and things like this. So it's a great one for you to tackle in July. If you have any questions, I will be posting more about this just on our general Hoardganize Podcast Facebook page. You don't have to be a member. The link is in the description. So last month, I was a special guest speaker for Meals on Wheels, and the topic was hoarding and how to help your loved one who hoards. I was joined by a law enforcement officer who's code enforcement as well. She's a wonderful lady with whom I've had the pleasure of working on cases with. There is also a licensed marriage and family therapist on the call who works with families in crisis and a lot of hoarding situations. And there is also a really interesting Q&A at the end. If this is of interest of you, the link of the replay is in the description. I did set up a Buy Me Coffee page. So this is where you can contribute a little bit of money, just enough to buy me coffee to help me keep putting this podcast on. This is all stuff, that I have to pay out of pocket for. And sometimes it's hard to maintain. I have to say my expenses are just kind of over the top right now. So check out the link in the description. If you want to donate a couple bucks to the Hoardganize Podcast, you can do so by using your PayPal or your credit card on the Buy Me Coffee website, which I believe is buymecoffee.com, but I will put the link in the description. It has been amazing getting back on the microphone. It's been great chatting with you collectors. I look forward to getting together again next week. Until next time, collectors, remember, happiness is a place between too little and too much.
Thank you for listening to the Hoardganize Podcast. Please make sure you're subscribed and join our Hoardganize Podcast Facebook page and get additional tips and challenges.